In 70 years, China has undergone unprecedented transformation. From its old industrial base in the northeast to its new manufacturing powerhouse in the southeast and to its emerging southwest. CGTN offers you a panoramic view of contemporary China. Our crews will travel along 3 different routes and come to you live from dozens of locations and free mobile studios. Join us for an all-inclusive look at China on our TV channel and digital platforms, September the 9th to the 20th. It is New China, then and now, in celebration of the 70th anniversary of the People's Republic of China, only on CGTN.
All right, now a CGTN exclusive as we kick off a 12-day live program called New China to celebrate the 70th anniversary of the People's Republic of China. It will give you viewers an in-depth look at how China transformed from a war-torn nation to the world's second largest economy in less than 7 decades. We invite you to join us on the journey through the country's southwest, southeast and northeast in 3 mobile studios. So first, let's go to Taoyuan and Sean Caleb's in Zunyi of Guizhou province in China's southwest. They will explain the city's significance in modern Chinese history. Hi, Sean and Taoyuan.
Exactly, Dominic. It's really hard to overstate just how...
Well, indeed. Tell us about the city and about the whole trip.
Indeed, as I mentioned, it's really hard to overstate just how important this city is to China, and it is a perfect place to kick off this really ambitious endeavor, New China. We're going to drive our entity in the southwest area about 1,000 kilometers to show you all about this region, one that has struggled financially, but certainly moving in the right direction. And what is so important about Zunyi? Well, if you look behind me, a sort of modest 2-story building. It was there in January of 1935, a group of leaders, including Mao Zedong, held a very important meeting known as the Zunyi Conference. Mao Zedong emerged as the leader of New China. The Long March continued, Taoyuan, and it's a great place for us to pick up and begin telling people what we're going to see.
That's exactly right, Sean. Yesterday, when we visited the Zunyi Conference building as well as the museum right next to us, and just looking some of the stuff that the Red Army used during their Long March, it's really like traveling back to a time when the founding of the People's Republic of China was still a distant dream. But look at the country today. I mean, the transformation it's gone through. I think it's still hard to imagine that what we have today all come from a humble meeting inside that building just behind us, held by a group of peasant soldiers, really. Yeah. So for more to talk about the past and the future of China, we're actually joined by Mr. Victor Gao Zhikai. He's the Vice President of Center for China and Globalization and Chairman of China's Energy Security Institute. And we also have Mr. Chen Jiahe. He's the Chief Strategist with Cinda Securities. Thank you guys for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Victor, let me start with you. Have you ever been in the city of Zunyi? Because obviously people outside of China probably have never heard of the city, but in the hearts and minds of the Chinese people, this city actually holds a special place for us. Have you ever been here before?
Absolutely. This is my first trip to Zunyi City, even though we have learned so much and read so much about Zunyi because of the Zunyi Conference back in 1935. And I think for us to meet here today, September the 9th, takes on extraordinary meaning because today was the day when Mao Zedong passed away in 1976. And then 84 years ago, it was here that Mao Zedong emerged as the paramount military leader and eventually the leader of the Communist Party of China, which led the China Communist Party to eventual victory in 1949.
Wow, special day to start our coverage.
Indeed. And Jiahe, we were talking earlier just about how broad China is, and it really cuts across everything, lifting 800 people out of poverty over the last 35 or so years. What can we look forward to as we meet people throughout this province and other areas in the Southwest?
It's great, really great to see how the economic has been doing over here. I mean, think about 80, 90 years ago. This was really a tiny little town if you look at the historical picture. And now it's a huge city with all the modern buildings. It got 2 railroad stations. It got 1 airport, all these kind of things. And it's actually one of the greatest, the fastest developing city in China. Economic development speed is about 10% or 9%, much higher than the average. So it's a lot of things we can discover.
Well, we have a lot to show you, both the environment, the beautiful rugged mountains that you see behind us, and while we're the face of this to kick off, there are 4 cameras taking our picture, and we have a drone up in the sky. It's really a technological marvel, and to find out more about how this is going to play out, I want to toss to our colleagues in the Northeast, Huiao and Jeff. Pick it up from there.
Hello, thanks to you, Sean. Yes, well, we've been going about an hour now. It's quite hot on this bus, I must say. We're in the northeast of China, in Inner Mongolia Autonomous Region, right in the far north of China. In fact, you can't see from here, but literally just across there, about a kilometre away, is Russia. We're that close to the border. We're in the land port of Manzhouli. Right here there are trucks, there are passenger vehicles and border residents going in and out of the border every day. It's quite a busy border. There's even, believe it or not, a Belt and Road lane there. So that will accelerate things for vehicles that are going to Belt and Road countries. So, Manzhouli, it's a great town, isn't it?
Yep,
so far,
absolutely.
we've been here a day and we've had a good old look around. The air is beautiful as well, very clean, grass smelling. It's one of the country's largest inland trading ports in terms of volume of freight. It's composed of a railway, airport, highway ports too. So later in the day we'll be speaking to an immigration inspection officer of the border unit. He will tell us about the daily inspection that goes on, because trains are coming in and out of the border. Oh, it seems to us about every 10 minutes or so. A train arrives either with people on it or with cargo coming forth from Russia. And they'll be talking about how they manage to make sure that everything's controlled and that there isn't people smuggling going on and all the rest of it, and how it works in the border trade here with Russia.
Exactly. We are so excited to be embarking on this 12-day journey. And speaking of the border trade, in about a few moments, Jeff and I are going to visit the trading zone that has more than 100 stores selling tax-free Russian goods to consumers. How exciting is that? And from chocolate to jam, from Russian dolls to vodka, anything you want for really good and cheap prices.
Yeah, but they haven't given us much money though, have they?
Well, they've given us like 500 kwai or something. But I think that should be sufficient.
That's nothing. I want to buy one of those big China dolls.
Okay, no vodka, no
Russian
dolls.
dolls.
We can buy the Putin chocolate if you want.
Putin chocolate, yeah.
Okay. But we'll also speak to Russian businessman who has been trading for years in China. We will ask him what brought him to Manzhouli, the border city, and how his life has changed living at the border. But as for now, we are going to be joined by our Professor Li Yong, Senior Fellow from China Association of International Trade.
Hello.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Hello.
So, Professor Li, is this your first time being here in Manzhouli?
Yep.
And what are your thoughts? What are your expectations for this journey?
Oh yes, I was very excited when I received the invitation, and I was also impressed by the idea of the mobile studio. We are on the northeastern route, which is going to be a kind of a 12-day journey, and we're going to cover 11 cities. I think the other 2 routes will do the same. And
so this one's from Manzhouli down to Dalian, isn't it?
Exactly.
In the 12 days.
And then altogether, the 3 mobile studios are going to provide a kind of a 360-degree type of a view of the China. Of China's economic development, particularly against the backdrop of the 70th anniversary of the founding of the People's Republic. And of course, I have a lot to expect. I would like to use the acronym of 4 words, which is GROW, G, for example, for goals. What goals have been achieved, for example, and what are the goals of the ambition, for the future development? R, for reality. I think the mobile studios will take us through the realities of the social and economic development of each of the places we're going to visit. And if we have aggregation of all the places, we're going to have a picture of how, what is the reality of China's opening up and the reform is, and what is the result. O stands for, yes, please.
No, go on. Well, I was going to say I have an acronym as well, FLS.
Oh, okay.
No, CLS, coffee, lunch, and sleep.
Okay.
Are we going to get any of those three things?
Yes, I think this is also associated. If you have a peaceful life, I think you are going to enjoy good coffee, good sleep, and good job, whatever, right? So O represents opportunities. I think we're also going to going through those cities to see how many different kind of opportunities based on their own local advantages are being offered to investors and also. And the last word is will. The will of the people of different locations, people together with the government, they how strong the will is and how determined they are to develop their economies and
live a better life,
for better.
Professor Young, we will have a good time.
Sure.
We will
learn talk
more
a lot
about
on this
70
journey.
years of modern China.
Exactly.
And for now, we will hand back to you. Let's go to the southeast, where the bus has been moving for a while. Li Jianhua and Michelle, how are you getting on down there?
Thanks very much, Jeff and Huiao. Well, we're starting the New China series trip from Nany City, the capital of Guanxi Zhuang Autonomous Region. We'll drive through the southeast part of China and bring an in-depth coverage on the growth and development of these areas in these past 70 years. And my co-host Jianhua will be with me during the trip.
Yes, Michelle, and in the following days we'll visit over 10 cities covering a wide range of topics, including China's reform and opening up, maritime Silk Road, and China's film industry.
Now, let me introduce our guests first. We have Andy Mock, a senior fellow at Center for China and Globalization. Welcome.
And of course, our old friend, Han Hua, who is the president of the Beijing Belt and Road Cooperative Community. Welcome to you all. Welcome.
Great to be here.
Thank you for being with us for the next 4 days. So you've been with us last year during the trip, right? And you're back again, so
yes.
Welcome and thank you so much
I'm really
for coming.
excited about
and
that.
What are you most excited about this year?
Nany, the literal meaning of Nany is southern tranquility,
Yeah.
but I'm certainly looking forward to some exciting things beyond tranquility, such as, especially from the new China perspective, such as its most recent economic development, its new positioning as the free trade zone, its more and more important role to play as a gateway to the trade with ASEAN countries, especially in the wake of the trade tensions between China and the United States, and also its people, in particular how Han ethnic group people and the Zhuang ethnic group people, how they live and work together, especially the culture exchange, the various activities during their daily life and work. I'm so looking forward to that, to learn more about that.
You're going to Guilin.
Oh, exactly.
That's going to be beautiful.
That's right. It's a kaleidoscope of topics that we're going to talk about. So Andy, how about you? This is your first time.
Well, I'm really excited to be here. I mean, first of all, we know that this is partially to commemorate the 70th anniversary of the founding of the People's Republic of China. But it's also, I think our audience might not be as aware of, is that we're also 40 years into economic reform and opening, which is the boldest and most successful experiment, not just economically, but politically, in the history of mankind, lifting something like, 800 million people out of poverty. And I think we're going to get the chance to see firsthand how this is happening on the ground. So that's one reason I'm really excited. But from a personal perspective, it's been one of my favorite sayings is that to know there, you've got to go there. And from the deserts of northwestern China to the forest of northeastern China, to be here in southeastern China and see what the lives of people are like Helen, you were saying, I think really is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and we're all a part of history, and I'm tremendously excited to be part of this.
If you want to know the place, if you want to know the place, you go there, right? Thank you very much once again. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And that's all from us. Back to you, Beijing.
All right, indeed a big thank you to my colleagues on the 3 routes for keeping us up to date in our special series New China. And our special coverage will continue at 4 GMT 12 Beijing time. So stay tuned for all that. But during China's Long March, Red Army soldiers crossed the Chishui River 4 different times and managed to dodge a Kuomintang blockade. Aside from its role in the historic march, the river also holds a key recipe in the making of China's most famous liquor, Maotai Baijiu. It's said that the liquor was used to sterilize wounds of the soldiers as they...
In 70 years, China has undergone unprecedented transformation. From its old industrial base in the northeast to its new manufacturing powerhouse in the southeast and to its emerging southwest. CGTN offers you a panoramic view of contemporary China. Our crews will travel along 3 different routes and come to you live from dozens of locations and 3 mobile studios. Join us for an all-inclusive look at China on our TV channel and digital platforms, September the 9th to the 20th. It is New China, then and now, in celebration of the 70th anniversary of the People's Republic of China, only on CGTN.
Everyone, welcome to New China, our special series of CGTN to celebrate the 70th anniversary of the founding of People's Republic of China. My name is Huiao. I'm a reporter from CGTN.
And my name is Jeff Moody, and I'm still learning to pronounce Cui Huiao's name.
But you're learning it so well.
But I'm getting there. You do have the most complicated name in Chinese.
Oh, thank you.
Now, here we are on the bus. This is our first stop, Manzhouli, which is right up on the border between China and Russia. In fact, Russia is about half a kilometre away, just over some barbed wire. We'll hopefully be able to have a look across to Russia in a little bit. But we're going to go shopping now, aren't we?
Yes, but before that, we are joined by our Professor Li Yong, Senior Fellow of China Association of International Trade. So this is also your first time in Manzhouli, right?
Exactly, yes.
What do you think so far?
You know, I'm very impressed, by what I've seen so far. Particularly, we are at the gate of what is called the duty-free area, and I'm curious what is happening inside. How many people are there? How many transactions are being done on a daily basis? This is really what I really want to discover, because I think our viewers would like to also know that, because this border trade has developed pretty fast, and now the border trade is not really what the border trade was just 10 or 15 years ago.
Well, we're going to go and find out.
Sure.
You need to stay on the bus, but we will report back to you what it's like inside.
So all right,
we're going to head out and
I would like to share with your experience.
You can indeed.
All right.
We're going to have a good look around the shops. But you see, the thing with Manzhouli is it's a border town. It's right here on the border, so it's part Russian and it's part Chinese. You know, the signposts are mainly in Chinese, but there's Russian as well. You don't see many Russians around. I haven't seen too many Russians
Well, I haven't seen many residents around. Maybe
No.
they're all hiding from the wind chill we've gotten so far.
But it is quite exciting because just behind us there is a bit of barbed wire, and you can see the hills at the start of this part of Russia just behind here. So we are very close.
Isn't it a very strange feeling that you're this close to Russia?
Yes, it is indeed. We're really in the far north of China. It's a bit windy up here. But what we're going to do now is head in here and buy, or collect rather, these special cards, because you need to have a card in order to go shopping here. Why is that, Huiao?
Well, technically I don't know, and this is the card center, and for Chinese residents or border residents or tourists, you need to exchange for a card with your personal ID, and I'm going to do that and show our audience how exactly that's done.
Okay. So we're going to collect our cards.
我想来办一张卡。
And CGTN's given us a little bit of money, which they said we can use to buy any of these goods. So, of course, it's Russian goods that have come across the border. They're all very cheap. They're all duty-free. I'm hoping that CGTN has given us a fairly substantial amount of money in order to buy things. I'm not convinced they have. The rumour is it's only 300 kwai, which is about $50 US, but never mind, we can find a few things with that. How are you getting on with the card? Have you got your card yet?
It's processing.
We're getting a card. We haven't worked out why we need a card yet, but it doesn't matter. We need a card. Security is not too bad here. You'd expect on a major border for there to be a lot more security going on, but it does seem pretty low-key. Everything seems very well coordinated here at the moment, which is good. I'm told that we're promised all sorts of goods on the border. One other thing to say about this place is that it does have a very Russian feel to it. The architecture is very Russian. There are a lot of Russian restaurants in Manzhouli, so it does really feel like a border town with a very strong Russian influence, which is good. We've got the card.
You know what? I just
good.
got my card.
You've got the card.
This is the card that I exchanged with my
shopping.
ID. That literally just took, what, less than 1 minute?
It felt like 5 minutes.
It felt like 5 minutes,
Because I was left talking.
All right.
But it's fine.
I think
So let's head through into the duty-free shopping area. I get to go through this special gate, apparently.
All right.
Not sure why. And where are we going to look first? What sort of things do you want to buy?
Well, I know Russia is known for its alcohol, for its chocolate and jam.
Vodka.
All the delicious food, right? Food and beverage.
Doesn't matter about the food. Let's go for the vodka.
Sure.
Shall we?
Well, it's a little bit early in the day for
We
vodka.
can save it for later.
Save it for later. With
No, we
Ina
can't.
Tangen and Leon, our two guests
we can't really
on this journey.
spend CGTN money on alcohol, I suppose. But we can try.
Okay.
Right, so here we are. Oh, good. Here we go. Right. Right, 谢谢.
All right, now we are in
Right,
this
here we
duty-free
are.
shop. Look what...
Welcome to Russia.
Welcome to Russia, exactly.
Russia and China.
Where should we go?
Let's wander down this way.
Sure, sounds good.
Now, there's watches over there. They look a little on the expensive side.
Kind of looks like a supermarket in here, but everything is duty-free. Apparently, I think Jeff has explained to our viewers, right? For Chinese border residents, we can spend up to 8,000 yuan per day.
So there's a limit to what people can spend.
Yes,
You can't
and for
just come
Chinese
here and-
tourists,
yeah.
for tourists outside Manzhouli, it's 8,000 per year. So $1,000 per year.
Russian dolls.
Russian dolls.
Now, Russian doll. Let's go and kiss some
That's
Russian
always
dolls.
the draw, right? Look at
I
all those
love
colorful,
these
well-painted
Russian
dolls. Do you know the full name for Russian doll?
No.
It's actually called Maryashka.
Maryashka.
Maryashka. What does it mean in Russia? It means mother. So this is,
Mother.
as we see, there's a set of Russian dolls, sometimes composed of 5 or 8 or 6.
Well,
and
this one is, how many are these? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, loads of them.
But this one, the biggest one, actually symbolizes the mother of a family, of a big family. And this is her daughter or her extended family member or relative or parents. So everyone is taken care of by the protector. That's what the symbol of the Russian doll is.
A matriarchal society.
How expensive is it?
How expensive? Well, that's 68. Well, these
Well,
ones,
those are...
afford that.
Well, that one is 150 yuan, so less than $20.
Huiao, in the centre of Manzhouli, there is a huge building which is like one of these Russian dolls, isn't it?
Yes, the tallest Russian doll in the world. That's like less than 100 meters tall or something. Like,
yeah, that's
every time we pass by, we're just amazed by how big the doll is.
It's one of the first things you notice when you come here is that it's got a massive, huge Russian doll.
Exactly.
Sort of in the middle of all the grassland, you know, there's fields and mountains.
My
all around
goal,
of this big
before we
Russian
end this
doll.
trip, is to visit the doll, to take a picture.
My goal is to buy one of these Russian dolls for my mother, but I don't think we've got quite enough money.
Well,
she would love one.
As of
Hello.
now.
Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm fine, thanks. How are you?
Now, give us your name.
My name is Valery Cherkashin.
Where are you from?
Nice to meet you.
Where are
I'm
you from?
Krasnoyarsk, from Siberia.
From Siberia?
Yeah. We produced natural organic products and sell all over the world.
How long have you been working here?
2 years.
2 years.
The first floor we opened in 2018 in Manchuria duty-free trade zone. The second floor we opened this year in Harbin. We population Russian food on China market and find a partnership to make business together.
And do you find that Chinese people like your products? Do they buy a lot of your products?
Yes, the China people like products.
But what are the most best-selling products here?
The best-selling products is honey. For example, chocolate, the kvass, cookies, caviar, the Russian water, juice. All of the Russian products is popular because it's organic and natural product.
And green.
Yeah.
I am a massive fan of Russian caviar.
I know you told me.
But it's expensive.
It's so expensive, but the China people have money.
And do you live in Manzhouli, or do you cross the border every night to go home to Russia?
Oh, I live in Manchuria and I traveling for different cities from the China. And sometimes I come back to the Russia.
But how's it like living at the border between China and Russia? How has your life changed?
Yes, my life is changed because the more time I stay here, and the China culture is so very interesting. The food and Russia and China is different, and I like that. The people is a good.
Their vodka is not as good as the Russian vodka. It's very nice to meet you.
Okay,
take care.
thank
We've
you
got
so
some
much.
shopping to do.
Okay.
Bye-bye. Take care.
You know what, Jeff? There are more than 100 stores. There are more than 100 stores in this trading zone selling more than 1,000 kinds of Russian goods.
Really? Well, then we should.这是什么？
里面是糖果. So it's actually sugar, candies.
Should we get that?
Sure. 我们想买一盒. We want to buy one
Yeah, let's get one of
pack
those.
of the sugar candies. 怎么买？
就直接在这儿买就可以了。
Can we get one of these?
就那个直接交钱。
你是给我一个票还是什么？给我开个票。
咱们得那个上款台交钱，交完钱以后完了给你。
啊。
Can us with those as well, please?
Sure. We'll get these two. 我们买这两个。
可以。
好，那您教我怎么
Trust me to go for the
怎么过去
sweets.
上款来着，我东西拿过去吗？还是？
拿过去就得上款。
Okay, this is how you pay for it. You.
走吧，这款台交钱。
Okay, but we've got limited time. For now, I think we should toss to southeast.
We're going to go to the southeast right now.
Our cruise in the southeast.
Let's go to the southeast while we pay for this. How are you getting on down there, guys?
Michelle Xin and Jianhua.
Jianhua.
everyone. We are back now live here in Zunyi, where we...
Where's my script?
That's for an intro.
But then you still need to introduce it too.
Just put your down. Stop. Yes, hi.
We're right now inside the Zunyi Conference Museum, actually. So behind us, we can see busts of all the people who attended the Zunyi conference. We talked about in our earlier television lives and web lives, the Zunyi conference was actually seen as a historical turning point in China's history, because that's when the late Chairman Mao Zedong kind of established his leadership role within the Chinese army, as well as within the Chinese CPC, the Communist Party of China. And they held the conference right here. The building at which they held the conference is actually right outside of us.
And this is, again, as part of our New China experience. We are one of 3 crews that are going to be driving across China to bring you up to date on how this nation has changed over 70 years, thinking about the poverty that really encompassed the area back in 1935, the strife, the ongoing struggle, and really beginning in 1980, what a tremendous change, the opening up and the economic upheaval. Some 800 million people have been lifted out of poverty. And to add some insight into that, we have our guest. It is good to meet you in person, Victor Gao. I've talked to you from my home in Washington before, and Shenzhen. We appreciate having your guidance as well. So, Taoyuan, you want to, maybe we could, this is the opening of the exhibition hall.
Yes.
And then it extends on. So why don't we take a walk and take a look at what it's like?
Yeah, sure. Actually, right behind us, if you see, you can see Chairman Mao Zedong right in the middle of these group of 20 figures who actually attended the meeting in January 1935 on a cold winter day.
Exactly. And to so many Westerners, Victor, this gentleman is very familiar as well. If I can get you to come over here. Yes, exactly.
Mao Zedong, Zhou Enlai, and you also see Deng Xiaoping standing over there, Liu Shaoqi, etc. The leaders, the military as well as political leaders in 1935, many of whom actually survived to become leaders of the People's Republic of China, both political as well as military. So this is truly the batch of leaders who reversed the course and brought the Chinese Red Army from almost defeat to victory, and completed the long march, and eventually launched the United Front with nationalists to launch the war of resistance against the Japanese aggression, and eventually defeated the Japanese fascism, and later led to the founding of the People's Republic in 1949.
Of course.
There's so much to see. Let's kind of get moving through
kind
here
of move
as well.
on, yes, exactly. But while we walk, Mr. Gao, I still want to ask you this. We talked about the importance of the Zunyi meeting as a turning point in China's history. Tell us about the circumstances under which the meeting was held. Why was it necessary? Why was it important?
Yes, indeed. The Red Army was encircled in the Red Army base in Fujian, and they were forced onto this long march. And when they reached the Zunyi area, the Red Army was surrounded by 4 sides. And then they were also surrounded by very difficult terrain, mountains and fast-flowing rivers, etc. And Generalissimo Chiang Kai-shek's idea was to really encircle the Red Army and annihilate the Red Army. And I think it was at the Zunyi conference that a very important decision was made to promote Mao Zedong to become the military leader and later political leader. And it was through Mao Zedong's military genius that he maneuvered the Red Army, crossing the Chesui River 4 times in a very short period of time, and eventually got rid of the pursuing army behind them and broke out of the encirclement, and eventually led the Red Army on to the rest of the long march, finishing up in Shanbei Revolutionary Base. And that saved the Red Army and also saved the Communist Party of China, and eventually paved the way for all the wonderful historical deeds and achievements that the Communist Party of China and the Chinese military did over the following decades.
And Mr. Chen, I'd like to bring you in as well, because Here we see some of the things that Victor was talking about, crossing the river, some of the battle plans. You can see how rugged this terrain was. Give folks an idea for the terrain here in Southwest, because when the conference at Zunyi took place, it would have been in winter. The Red Army would have been exhausted. Where did they get the fortitude to move forward?
Well, it's really, I don't really think they get a lot of material support from what they have been. They actually left it in Guanxi, and it's a long trip over here. And think about the conditions back in the 1930s. It's all the small buildings, and it's really the willing to make China into a great nation that supported them. That's the spirit behind that. And when you can look is how great China is today with the economic construction.
There's one thing I really want to point out, because crossing the river was so difficult. They used these baskets filled with rocks as anchors on each side, and then this very crude raft were able to pull themselves across. I mean, it's just amazing the ingenuity that they were able to use.
Yeah, exactly. When you think about how many boats and economic miracles that China has actually achieved nowadays, think about the United States was actually targeting China as its priority for the economic trade war. And think about back only 80, 90 years ago, this was all what you have got to cross the river.
Right. Yeah. From really an army made up of peasants to the world's second largest economy, that's a huge transformation. I mean, lifting how many, 800 million people out of poverty in just
In 70 years, China has undergone unprecedented transformation. From its old industrial base in the northeast to its new manufacturing powerhouse in the southeast and to its emerging southwest, CGTN offers you a panoramic view of contemporary China. Our crews will travel along 3 different routes and come to you live from dozens of locations and free mobile studios. Join us for an all-inclusive look at China on our TV channel and digital platforms, September the 9th to the 20th. It is New China, then and now, in celebration of the 70th anniversary of the People's Republic of China, only on CGTN. In 70 years, China has undergone unprecedented transformation. From its old industrial base in the northeast to its new manufacturing powerhouse in the southeast and to its emerging southwest. CGTN offers you a panoramic view of contemporary China. Our crews will travel along 3 different routes and come to you live from dozens of locations and free mobile studios. Join us for an all-inclusive look at China on our TV channel and digital platforms, September the 9th to the 20th. It is New China, then and now, in celebration of the 70th anniversary of the People's Republic of China, only on CGTN. In 70 years, China has undergone unprecedented transformation. From its old industrial base in the northeast to its new manufacturing powerhouse in the southeast and to its emerging southwest. CGTN offers you a panoramic view of contemporary China. Our crews will travel along 3 different routes and come to you live from dozens of locations and free mobile studios. Join us for an all-inclusive look at China on our TV channel and digital platforms, September the 9th to the 20th. It is New China, then and now, in celebration of the 70th anniversary of the People's Republic of China, only on CGTN. In 70 years, China has undergone unprecedented transformation. From its old industrial base in the northeast to its new manufacturing powerhouse in the southeast and to its emerging southwest. CGTN offers you a panoramic view of contemporary China. Our crews will travel along 3 different routes and come to you live from dozens of locations and free mobile studios. Join us for an all-inclusive look at China on our TV channel and digital platforms, September the 9th to the 20th. It is New China, then and now, in celebration of the 70th anniversary of the People's Republic of China, only on CGTN.
Hello, welcome back to our special coverage called New China, celebrating 70 years of New China. We're at the top of China. We're in the far north, in Manzhouli, which is in the Inner Mongolia Autonomous Region. But more importantly, it's right on the border with Russia. Russia is literally a quarter of a kilometre away, just outside these doors. We're in the duty-free area, doing a little bit of shopping. It's me here, Jeff Moody, Huiao, and Professor Li Yong. Thank you very much for joining us.
Association of International Trade.
So he's the one that knows all about it.
3 guys in a duty-free shop. What an image.
Well, I want to buy something for my mother. I'm going to visit her soon, and I want to get her something.
But before that, shall we show our audience what we have bought so far?
Well, yes, we bought some Vladimir Putin sweets.
Chocolates? Well, not chocolate, candies.
We bought a lot of chocolate, as though I'm not fat enough as it is.
Well, not me.
All these chocolates.
This is the chocolate with cognac in it. Looks cool.
Cognac.
Cognac.
Okay. All right, yes.
And one of our team has bought some beer, but it's non-alcoholic.
And we're going to share it.
What's the point of non-alcoholic beer?
Exactly. But we're going to share it with our crew. We have a
Russian-style softer drink, actually.
Yes.
Okay.
It's fermented from bread, as everybody was told. But the details, the processes, the ingredients is not clear anyway.
So, Professor, the people that come here to shop, are they coming here because they're on their way to Russia? They're on their way through the border and they're stopping off to get a few souvenirs? Or do they come from other parts of China specifically to come here to shop?
That is a very good question. This is the goal of the Manzhouli government. They wanted to build the city into what? A tourist trading center, which means that it is going to be a trading center. It has already been a trading center, but they also want to drive the development of tourism, which means that tourists will come, and then they are going to shop around here, and then go across the border and vice versa.
Okay, I'm stopping here because I want to go and get a Russian doll.
Russian doll, but we've only got 100 yuan left.
Well, let's get one for 100 yuan. I want to buy my mum a Russian doll. These are 60 yuan.
60
yuan.
Get
one of those.
Right. Okay.
Do they
Pick one you want.
Do they have the little ones inside? Do they open up? Can you ask?
这个有没有这个套娃是一个个拿起来的，还是就这样单个的 ？So it's a set.
Yes.
Wow.
Right. Can I buy that for my mum?
Sure.
Thank you.
That's filial piety.
All right. Can we all say together then, Mrs. Moody, this is for you. Ready? Mrs. Moody, this is for you.
Mrs. Moody, this is for you. Okay. 我们买一套啊，60啊，那个到哪儿结账您告诉我们。Okay.
Actually, buying things here is a little bit complicated. You can't actually give the money now. You have to take it and get a little receipt and then go to another area over here and pay and then come back and collect your goods. It's quite complicated.
您带我去吧，要不。
And of course, you've had to get this card to even come in here and shop in the first place. You have to purchase this or obtain this special card. You have to show them your ID. So it is a very complicated process to shop here, isn't it?
I don't think so. They have already streamlined the process of because this is a designated area. You don't have to perform whatever needed, the procedures of clearing, for example, the duties. So
I suppose it's like in an airport. You have to show your landing card, don't you? You have to show your boarding card in order to buy things duty free.
Yes. Right now they require presentation of your ID card so that you can have a entry card into this duty free area. That is the process, but it's very simple. I think it is designed for the purpose of developing this area into a tourist center.
Lovely. So here, we bought this for my mum.
Sure.
Lovely.
Do you want to hold it?
There you go. That's for you, Mum. Right, let's move on.
Let's move on.
Let's move on. What else can we get? Have we got any money left? Probably not.
Well, I've got like 5, 10 yuan-ish left.
Which is about £1 in British money.
But you know what? Like Russian doll actually means super well. It symbolizes a big family. Do you have a big family back home?
No, not really. It's just me and my brother. I'm a mum and dad.
But still, it carries the symbolic meaning.
My brother's got a lot of children, if that counts.
That counts. Extended family members, sure.
Yeah, I suppose it's a big family. So does that symbolize then that Russia's a matriarchal society? The fact that one of their big symbols is mother and daughter and granddaughter and women going down the generation.
They want to show their respect and their love for the caretaker, the loved one. Everyone, the mother is always our beloved one, right?
Yeah.
But not saying father is not important, but it just happens to be that way. Well, in fact, Russian dolls, there are male versions of it too. It's not all female. I did some research, and they told me that there are male versions of Russian dolls.
Right, we're wandering up to this far end. I'm not quite sure what there is to see up here. Lots more sweets. The Russians clearly have a sweet tooth. Let's have a wander down here and see.
Their juices? Are you into like Russian juices?
Well, I've never tried a Russian juice.
Apple ciders and all that?
Well, I'm into cider.
You're into cider, okay.
I'm definitely into cider. Okay, well this looks all
fruit candies. There are also fruit candies.
So we are going to get very, very fat if we stay here too much longer, but that's all right.
Yeah, there are also some other things like wheat flours, like millet.
Millet?
Rice, yes. It's kind of a special crop. Yellow, little round grain.
No disrespect, why would Chinese people come to Russian customs to buy rice?
Because, their rice is so different. Because, they are, it's a kind of a demand for diversified products. And the wheat flour, for example, they tend to be the kind of wheat flour that is really good for making bread because they are supposed to be the long fibered type of wheat flour. So when in the short fiber, this is good for biscuits because they're going to be crispy. And most of the Chinese wheat is supposed to be kind of a middle. That is good for Chinese steamed bread. You know what I mean?
So yes.
This is
okay. Well, we're now going to finish up shopping and heading back to the bus. I mean, if you've only just joined us, we are taking on the northeastern part of China from Manzhouli today, which is right on the border with Russia. And we're going to be heading south down to Harbin in the next couple of days and ending up in Dalian. So we're doing, I'm not quite sure how many kilometres it is, but it's an awful lot of kilometres over the next few days to celebrate the 70th anniversary. This is Jeff Moody, and this is
Huiao, and we're now tossing to our crew on the southwest route.
Guys, how are you getting on down there?
Sean Caleb's and Taoyuan, give us what you have.
So, see you later.
Okay, to our audience out there, we apologize for the signal loss. It happens when it gets really crowded, and this museum is very crowded. It's a patriarch located in the city of Zunyi, China's Guizhou province, because it is free to the public as a patriotic site. So it gets millions of people come to this museum to learn China's history.
Years, China has undergone unprecedented transformation. From its old industrial base in the northeast to its new manufacturing powerhouse in the southeast and to its emerging southwest, CGTN offers you a panoramic view of contemporary China. Our crews will travel along 3 different routes and come to you live from dozens of locations and free mobile studios. Join us for an all-inclusive look at China on our TV channel and digital platforms, September the 9th to the 20th. It is New China, then and now, in celebration of the 70th anniversary of the People's Republic of China, only on CGTN. In 70 years, China has undergone unprecedented transformation. From its old industrial base in the northeast to its new manufacturing powerhouse in the southeast and to its emerging southwest, CGTN offers you a panoramic view of contemporary China. Our crews will travel along 3 different routes and come to you live from dozens of locations and free mobile studios. Join us for an all-inclusive look at China on our TV channel and digital platforms, September the 9th to the 20th. It is New China, then and now, in celebration of the 70th anniversary of the People's Republic of China, only on CGTN. In 70 years, China has undergone unprecedented transformation. From its old industrial base in the northeast to its new manufacturing powerhouse in the southeast and to its emerging southwest, CGTN offers you a panoramic view of contemporary China. Our crews will travel along 3 different routes and come to you live from dozens of locations and 3 mobile studios. Join us for an all-inclusive look at China on our TV channel and digital platforms, September the 9th to the 20th. It is New China, then and now, in celebration of the 70th anniversary of the People's Republic of China, only on CGTN.
Hello, we apologize again for the signal loss in the museum.
It's a work in progress. We're getting better and better at this. We're going to say goodbye to our 2 guests right now, Victor Gao.
But before we do that, can we just get a takeaway message and final thoughts from each one of them before you leave the show?
Sure. I mean, I'm actually working as a strategist in a securities firm. We face the decision making every day, but that's only about getting money or losing money. And after I've been visiting this museum, I see people were making decisions about getting life or losing life. These kind of decisions, I think, is much harder than the decisions that we have to make. And I know how hard it is to make decisions. So it's really exciting to see here.
What about you, Victor?
No, I think this museum is a must-see if you really want to
I'm sorry,
understanding.
we have to cut off. I've been told we're almost out of time, and we certainly want to speak.
I'm so sorry, Mr.
We certainly want to speak with our
but
tour guide.
you're joining us for a later program, so yes. So let's go to Ms. Li Yujuan. She's actually a tour guide here at the Zunyi Conference Museum. So she's going to tell us a little bit about what's behind us right now.
If you could just ask her in Mandarin about these.
Okay. So my colleague Sean wants to know about these boards that we're seeing right behind us.
OK， 我们看到这些门板呢，都是当年红军留下的一些宣传的标语。当时的红军总政治部呢，是为了沿途更好的宣传群众和组织群众，所以在部队当中呢，有下过这样一条命令：部队中凡是能写字的，做到每人1天1条宣传标语。由此可见，红军在长征途中的宣传的工作呢，做得很到位的。
Okay, so Sean, Yujuan was just telling me that these are actually doors, and written on them are the Red Army slogans because they wanted to promote their army to the local people once they reached Zunyi. So there was a military rule. Anyone who could read and write must write one slogan on one door or one piece of wall each day to tell the civilians what the Red Army of Peasants is all about.
And we've talked about history. These are history, and they go all over. And to me, it is amazing they were able to salvage these over 70 years. If you think about the poverty, the difficulty, it's amazing these doors weren't burned for wood during the very tough economic times. But I know that you've seen a lot of things in here you like as well. We just passed the sort of medical area, triage unit, if you will.
Right.
Maybe we can find out how that antiquated equipment was able to save lives.
Right, but then, Sean, I think there's a problem with that because that section of the museum is still really crowded, and we don't want to lose our signal again. So should we move that way so that we're closer to the exit where the signal is better?
Absolutely.
李老师，我想我们现在已经走到这个武器陈列的地方了。We're seeing guns and weapons in this section. Can you tell us a little bit about these? Are those the things that the Red Army used? 这些是红军曾经用过的武器吗？
对，是的，我们看到展柜里展出的这部分呢，就是红军当年所使用的一些武器的装备。像看到最上面的这种就是汉阳造，像这种手枪，我们看到红军经常使用的叫毛瑟手枪。
毛瑟手枪。
对，毛瑟。因为是德国产的它是德国。
Those guns are made in Germany.
Oh wow!
Those are the guns the Red Army used when they.
It's amazing. And she told a story yesterday. It's on the second floor. We can't see it about the sacrifice that Red Army troops made. About the one man who was shot, and when he passed away, his family actually was able to salvage that bullet, and it's now here.
我的同事他还是对您昨天给我们讲的那个故事很感兴趣，就是2楼的那个
弹片啊，对，那块弹片呢是当时那个杨尚昆同志，他当时的职务是这个红三军团的政委，他当时也是在遵义战斗的时候负伤了，因为当时很多这个红军的物资武器呢都非常匮乏，所以很多领导受伤也是难免的。他这个弹片呢就打在他的腿当中，对，打在他的腿当中，因为也是医疗条件非常有限，所以那块弹片取不出来了，就一直伴随了他一生。那块弹片，对。
So Yu Jun just retold the story of the soldier who got shot in the leg, and they couldn't, because of the limited medical support that they were able to get during that time, they weren't able to retrieve the bullet when he was still alive. So after he died, they cremated him, and the family was able to recover the bullet from the ashes. And then they donated the bullet to this very museum. It's on exhibition on the second floor, and they donated that bullet to this museum on that soldier's 100th birthday.
Amazing, the sacrifice. You told us yesterday there are 4 million people that visit. For many, it's a patriotic pilgrimage. What kind of questions do tourists ask about China's humble beginnings?
我的同事 Sean 他想知道每年有几百万的游客来到我们这个地方，进行这种爱国主义的旅游。他想知道这些游客问您的问题最多的都是什么？他们最想知道的是什么？
像我们去年的话，这个每年统计的人数是400到500万左右的人流量。
Last year it was 4 million to 5 million visitors.
今年会更多，今年会突破。
There's going to be more this year.
但是我在讲解过程当中呢，有很多游客还有客人，他们在参观的过程中呢，都会问到红军，那么长征完了之后，他们还剩多少人？他们那个红军长征的时候呢，出发是86000多人，但是长征结束了之后，只剩不到1/10。
Okay, so let me get the numbers right. 让我把这个数字翻译的准确一下。长征开始的时候是86000人。So when the Long March started, there were 86,000 soldiers within the army, and then how many were there left?
结束之后呢，是只剩下不到1/10，大约是7000多人左右。
By the time it ended, it was only 7,000. So just a tenth of the troops survived the Long March.
Just amazing.
Wow.
所以红军是用这个革命理想高于天的坚定信念，突破了国民党军的围追堵截，去创造了这个人类征服自然的奇迹。长征呢，也是红军这个人类战争史上一座无与伦比的丰碑。
He said so that's why the Long March is really a genius military maneuver and a holy grail in the history of warfare.
It's amazing.
So I think we're almost out of time, Sean. So should we just say goodbye to our audience right now?
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
Before we do that, we just want to remind you that 3 teams of journalists are covering the new China to commemorate the 70th anniversary of the founding of the People's Republic of China. And we're covering the southwest route. So
for the next 12 days, we'll be traveling about 1,000 kilometers. And we have teams in the northeast, and we have a team in the southeast. Michelle, we'd like to throw it on down to you and let you tell us more about your new China adventures.
Hello everyone, welcome
Hello, guys.
to this part of China. Now we're in Nany, the capital city of Guanxi Autonomous Region. I believe you have seen the northeastern part of China. It's a little bit cold over there, and they have been walking around the duty-free shops and also southwest China, right?
Yeah,
and now
this
place is lush and green. So,
yes,
Michelle?
This is my first time in Nany, actually. It's pretty modern, as you can see. We've been in the bus for an hour traveling through Nany downtown, and
if you look outside the window, you can see the greenery, and everywhere is so lush.
It's a very green area
compared
of the
with
city.
northeast and southwest probably, right?
Yeah, very humid. Less hot today, thankfully, compared with yesterday. You saw how much we sweated yesterday, so today is a better day for us. For me, it seems the city is pretty modern, right? It looks
pretty modern.
Probably closer to Beijing than the rest of Guangxi.
Right. Like every other city,
region,
right?
There are a lot of rural areas.
When it comes to the urban areas, right?
Yeah.
And now we're in downtown Nany, and we just drove through probably the rural parts. If it was different but now it's the same, right?
Yeah, it looks very similar. And we have two guests with us today on the bus. We have Han Hua, which is she's the president of Beijing Belt and Road Cooperative Community, and we have Andy Mock. He is the senior fellow of Center for China and Globalization. Hello, and thank you for being with us for the next 4 days. We're on the bus for literally 11 hours a day for our entire trip. So sit tight. Let's keep our energy up.
How do you feel now? This is the start of the day. We're gonna have like 5 shows.
So we're all excited.
Very energetic.
This is your first time in Nany as well, right?
Yes. Shame on me. This is my first time to be in Nany, but it's good. It's never too late to come, and it's good to come to Nany in this way, to look through Nany in the new China perspective with you guys on the bus tour, and to learn more about Nany's development in various angles, such as Nany's positioning as the free trade zone and
economic center.
Exactly, and Nany's as the transition point between the Maritime Silk Road Initiative, as well as the 21st Century Silk Road Economic Belt. If you look at the map, you can see Nany is exactly located at the transitional point, with one line extending to the Maritime Silk Road Initiative, and the other going north all the way to Lanzhou, to Urumqi, and to the capital cities in the mid-Asia. So I know that Nany is going to host the very seventh of its Nany, ASEAN, and the Central Asia Economic Forum in a couple of weeks.
The expo, right?
Yeah, but this time Nany is going to play a more and more important role to connect and link, the trade and economic cooperations among the countries, not only from mid-Asia, but also all the way to the ASEAN, the traditional trade partners in ASEAN countries.
And Andy, what are you expecting? Your first time here too.
Well, it is my first time to Nanyang, but I've been to Guanxi Autonomous Region before. I've been to Guilin, like many people around the world, because it's so famous for its scenery. One thing that struck me from at a very personal level, flying in from Beijing, and we've all heard and maybe have experienced, just how world-class Beijing's airport is, and people all around the world have heard about this. So maybe I shouldn't have been surprised, but when I landed in Nanyang, I was like, wow, this is a very modern airport.
Yeah, it was.
So I think that's one point. And then I think about why shouldn't I be surprised? Because we all know how much investment has gone into infrastructure in China. And that's crucial for economic development. It's also crucial for stability as well. When you think about people able to visit their friends and family conveniently and cheaply. So that's the first thing that struck me.
Yeah, I actually have family here.
Then the other is that it is humid. So Beijing is very dry.
It's humid.
It's much more humid here.
Good for your skin.
Yes, I was just going to say that. Yes. So far, I think very positive impression. And we've been driving around. We've seen parts of the city that are very, very modern. We see parts that are more traditional, and there's a transition process as well, some construction going on, which I think is true throughout China. So I think it's it's a very interesting place, and I'm sure we'll learn a lot more.
And the infrastructure is quite developed, right? Here, like any other
about
city.
the location of Guanxi Zhuang Autonomous Region. It's basically the gateway for China to the ASEAN community. Because of this location, the border line is more than 1,300 kilometers long. So there's a lot of trade and investment going on. So tell us a little bit more about that. Like, how is this place positioned in that?
Guangxi, as we talk about, Guangxi traditionally is positioned as the gateway and also the link towards the trading relations with ASEAN countries. In particular, to many countries. But nowadays, the trading relations has ever been deepened into depth. First is the trade partnerships between the small and medium-sized enterprises
in addition to those big partnerships like the infrastructure cooperation, like other big corporations, so more and more partners are linked together through Guanxi. It's not necessary, products to be made in Guanxi or made in Nany in particular, but more products now are going through Guanxi province it's a hub to these ASEAN countries, to almost 10 countries alongside the border and beyond the border. So this is one point. The other is the people-to-people connectivity and people-to-people exchange, including the cultural activities, including that we're going to visit an amusement park this afternoon. And this is good. This is a showcase, a window of how Nany is bringing ASEAN countries to Guanxi and to let Chinese people know about each country's feature and the positioning and how the development potential and the cooperation potential that ASEAN countries can contribute and vice versa between the two parts.
So how about the new pilot factories on how to assess this new mechanism? How is this going to connect China with the ASEAN nations?
Well, I would look at this maybe from more of a broader regional and even global perspective. So one of the issues we're facing today globally is what we could call a lack of aggregate demand, meaning that there aren't enough people that just want to buy things. And many countries, including the United States and the EU, are trying to solve this through monetary policy, meaning lowering interest rates, making money more available. One thing we really should know about ASEAN, so Guangxi and Yunnan border the 10 ASEAN countries. This is 650 million people, so it's about twice the population of the EU. But it's only a GDP of about $3 trillion. So what does that mean? There are a lot of people that don't have enough stuff yet. And this is where I think Nany, for the past few years, has been seen as the gateway, as the hub to ASEAN and promoting growth and prosperity, and I think could play a very key role in stimulating global aggregate demand. So that's partly why I'm very interested in what's going on in Nany and this part of the country in general, because again, you have 650 million people, very, very diverse. So from Singapore, that is a world-class advanced economy, to places like Cambodia, Laos, Myanmar, that still maybe need to make significant investments in basic infrastructure, water, electricity, roads, railway. And it really creates, I think, a full spectrum of opportunities for business, for investment, for people-to-people exchanges, for education as well. And so I think really there's a lot to talk about.
And Nany is the capital, so it looks very prosperous. But Guangxi is very known for its poverty alleviation because there are a lot of regions in the region that's still under poverty. So tell us a little bit about the poverty alleviation efforts.
You're mentioning a very good point. To better reach out to the trade partners like ASEAN countries or Mid-Asia countries, I think Nany or Guangxi needs to strengthen itself, especially in the poverty alleviation, such as we saw Nany is a quite modernized city, but the other areas, the suburb areas, the other regions in Guangxi is not that developed, it's not developed enough, even though the infrastructure is there already in the past few years, but we still need to do more, like we call targeted poverty alleviation. And from what I learned, Guangxi is doing very well in this regard. For example, they are not only to have the poverty alleviation through agricultural development, through the industry, and also, for example, the developed regions to help Guangxi province in particular, but also they are developing different features, such as the sports-oriented poverty alleviation, the culture-oriented poverty, the education-oriented, so that different regions, they have their different goals and they have their different development agenda, so they can be more focused and they can get the resources to be targeted to their specific regions.
We have a feeling because there are a lot of minority groups in the region, so it makes it very diverse, and also they have their own culture, right? So you know how our poverty is based on GDP per capita, so the here is pretty low, especially for those minority groups. You mentioned about there are some characteristics with those groups that makes it a little bit difficult for poverty alleviation.
Yeah.
Not necessarily a bad thing because they're happy with what they have.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think the ultimate goal for poverty alleviation for China, especially for a socialism China with Chinese characteristics, is that to have different people reach their different goals under a general framework. So for Guanxi, since it houses about 11 ethnic groups,
11.
and with Han and Zhuang ethnic groups leading the minority groups. So I think we should allow the different development potential and room for different ethnic groups. For example, we need to respect certain regions and certain characteristics of these ethnic groups and allow them to set up their own development agenda for the poverty alleviation.
I mentioned about different standards, right? Maybe use happiness as also a standard for poverty.
Well, I would take that even a step further because there's tremendous ethnic diversity in Guangxi Zhuang, also neighboring Yunnan province as well. And what we're discovering too, more so in Yunnan, but also to a degree here in Guangxi, that many tier 1 white-collar professionals in Beijing and Shanghai that maybe either temporarily or maybe even permanently want a different kind of life, and they move here, right?
I know a lot of people who have.
They may open a B&B or a coffee shop.
That's not necessarily. There are people who have. I've known people, especially after having children, have given up their careers, moved to Yunnan, set up.
I'm going to stay there for good, right?
For many years, you know, because you can live very cheaply. You know, for the same size of apartment, it costs like a fifth of Beijing. So they move there permanently. That kind of
it's
that's a lifestyle.
It's this framework of socialism with Chinese characteristics where people can pursue different versions of what they consider the good life.
Happiness,
right? Happiness, the pursuit of happiness. But the other point I think is important to point out here about Guangxi Zhuang autonomous region for our audience that may not be familiar with China's political organization is that Guangxi Zhuang, the Zhuang refers to an ethnic minority that comprises about 30% of the population.
That's the largest group of the ethnic minorities we have in China, right?
And we see all around the world these problems of maintaining national cohesion, whether it's African Americans versus white Americans or other parts of the world face similar challenges. And I think this is not as appreciated, but China's approach is to say, look, we've got these areas like Guangxi Zhuang, Inner Mongolia, Tibet, with these large percentages of minorities. How do we make sure that we have a stable society while also letting people keep their ethnic identity? And I think this political structure is quite important. And, you know, I go back to this point that this 40-year experiment is not just economic, but it's really political. And it's not just creating more stuff, but how do people live together in peace and harmony?
Look, there's our bus.
Yeah, that's our bus, right?
We're actually inside of this bus.
We're now in the coach right now. It's very much like a coach to the big one.
We're going through,
This is one of the bridges in Nanning right now, right?
You've been here 4 times, so you probably know more than we do.
Yeah, probably we're going to see more of the pictures outside the coach,
There's a lot of water, actually, in the city. Our hotel is right next to...
The hotel is right next to the bridge.
And then we went through that bridge.
It's a little bit cloudy, right? If we have some more footage outside the coach, maybe.
Yeah.
So that's how.
Really with water makes it beautiful.
Then you should come to the south, Brent. Okay.
If I can stand the heat. Good feng shui. It's good feng shui, yes.
So the Chinese
good for skin and hair. I feel like I don't need conditioner here.
Yeah, now we are looking outside the coast, right? This is the highway. I think this is one of the ring roads in Nanning right now. It's a little bit cloudy. It's not as bad as yesterday, right?
Yeah,
so we're expecting probably rain.
There are some industries here, right? But there are not a lot of industry. But there's sugarcane. Sugarcane is famous.
Sugarcane, like one of the crops, the strategic crops in Guangxi Zhuang autonomous region, right? And also it is the looking at the cooperation between Guangxi Zhuang and also some ASEAN countries, and they are working on the cooperation, especially when it comes to agriculture right now.
And we shouldn't forget that hunger alleviation, just providing enough food, while China largely places even some parts of in America where this is a challenge. I mean, you were saying that there were people from Jamaica here to learn about sugarcane cultivation.
Yeah, they are sharing more about the sugarcane industry development and including more sophisticated sugarcane, how to manufacturing that, how to export and import the sugarcane related products. Sounds very exciting.
Well, we all know China is, once upon a time as the workshop of the world and now moving up the innovation ladder. But I think what many people don't realize is that from an agricultural perspective, China is actually also very advanced, whether we're talking about sugarcane, rice. I was in Changsha for a conference a month or two ago, and there's a partnership between Hunan province and many African countries to help them raise the level of their agricultural productivity.
So green development as well, because look how green it is outside, right? So really, hopefully, whatever that's happening here, it will keep the place green as it is, as is now. It's beautiful, a lot of greenery. We do. Just take a final look at how green the city is. I love the subtropical plants here.
That's right. Definitely come
really
to
like
Guanxi, right?
Yeah, I like
the greenery
the plantation here. This is very different from Beijing. That's for sure.
I think we have to leave it here.
And that's all the time we have, unfortunately, but we'll bring you more on new media in Nany. We're going to a Fanta Wild Park in the afternoon. We'll bring an hour-and-a-half live program there and show you the amusement park and all the different ASEAN featured facilities and buildings in the park. So
that's right, ASEAN and Guanxi. If you want to know more about the ASEAN community, definitely stay tuned. In this afternoon, me and Michelle, we're going to that theme park. So, Jeff and Will, take it over.
Hello and welcome to New China. This is CGTN's celebration of 70 years of New China, the People's Republic of China. 3 buses travelling throughout this amazing kingdom. We're here right in the far north. We're in Inner Mongolia, the autonomous region, but we're right at the border of China and Russia. In fact, let me just show you how far north we are, the extremities of China that we've come. See the barbed wire over there and the Chinese flag. The other side of that Chinese flag is Russia. It's that close. So we're right at the far north of the country. This is Manzhouli, which is the border town. Earlier on we were looking in the duty-free area, buying gifts, Russian gifts, and Chinese people come from all over to sample the Russian restaurants in Manzhouli and to really get a feel of Russia without having to cross the border. But if they wanted to cross the border, it's just there. Take a look at this.
Sure. That is the Nation Gate, also known as Guomen. The Chinese translation of that is door of the country. Apparently it is the 5th generation of the National Gate, and the words on the street that 2 countries, China and Russia, have been competing. They're trying to outdo each other for building the greatest border crossing.
The most dramatic
border crossing.
So this is China's version, and it's certainly pretty dramatic, isn't it? What you might not be able to see is the railway line that comes right through the border, because you can't walk through the border gate, you have to come by train. And literally every 5 or 6 minutes a train goes past and it carries all manner of goods. We've seen ones with thousands and thousands of logs coming through into China. We've seen ones with passengers in as well. This is the main way that goods from this part of Russia come into this part of China.
So exactly. So Manzhouli is this port city that has a history of over 100 years. But I also want to mention that China has the longest land border in the world, totaling more than 22,000 kilometers. And remember, China also has more than a dozen neighbors. So we are now at one of the border towns who often share both Chinese and foreign characteristics, which makes this one, Manzhouli, the border town, a really charming place that has a unique charm that mixes 3 worlds, China, Russia, and Mongolia.
And Mongolia, because of course not forgetting that we're not only at the northernmost tip of China,
a diverse
but
population too.
The northernmost tip of Inner Mongolia autonomous region.
With Mongolia to our west and Russia to the north.
So Mongolia is over there.
Yes, somewhere over there, and Russia's over there.
And China is everywhere.
We're on the edge. We're on the edge between 3 different places, 3 countries.
And any moment now we're going to get on our bus. We've been pootling around Manzhouli this morning, but we are going to set off at some point later today to head into the grasslands, the real heartlands of Inner Mongolia, to really get a taste of what this part of the country is all about. I'm hoping for a lovely yurt, maybe a horse ride through the grasslands.
Oh, and as you imagine, there will be some sheep eating as well. The whole
sheep eating.
Sheep eating.
Should we call it lamb?
Lamb for sure. Some tasty lamb. So we'll get a different taste compared to Manzhouli. It's actually about 3 hours away from here, Hulunbuir, one of the world's most famous prairie and grasslands. So there'll be a lot more to cover tomorrow.
And I think one of the things that I find fascinating about this place is, of course, this was the original industrial heartland of China. Decades ago. I mean, my equivalent from my country, the UK, is sort of Manchester, Liverpool, that sort of area, which were at the heart of the Industrial Revolution. Same with places like Manzhouli. This was where the big factories were, wasn't it? This was where sort of this was where China was run from, if you like. But as progress has been made, as technology has come into force, the powerhouse of China has really moved south, hasn't it? You've got places like Shenzhen in the south.
And this is the whole point of it. We are doing this series called New China because we want to present China as it is. We want to show the transformations the country has undergone, especially for the Northeast, you know, from the old industrial base to new manufacturing powerhouse, from polluted areas to now clean and green, fresh areas.
Well, that's the thing. The air is incredibly fresh.
Today's a beautiful day. I don't know if our audience can see the clouds and skies.
Yeah, it's a lovely day up here on the border. But we're also going to be looking at the future of the region, because if this was the area where all the factories were, this was where all the manufacturing was, what next? Now that we're moving away from that type of economy, what's next for this region? How can it become a powerful region again? Right, we've got a train heading from China into Russia.
One of those China-Europe freight trains.
I'm not quite sure what's in it, but we are going to be talking later today to somebody that will know. Right. We're going to be talking to the person in charge of actually managing the transportation of freight from
someone from the border unit, the immigration inspection officer.
Because of course, you know, in my country, it's Dover is the main port, you know, and you have to be incredibly careful. There's people trafficking, there's migrants, there's transportation of drugs across borders, etc., etc., etc. So making sure that all of the trains and all of the freight is as it should be going north and south.
Nobody sneaked in those carriages crossing borders.
Well, there's nothing in the carriages at all at the moment, but you never know, there might be some people underneath the wheels somewhere. But yes, a busy few days, 12 days on this tour.
11 cities.
11 cities. I'm not doing all of them. I'm doing a couple of days, and then Erica Pizzi is taking over from me, and then Jonathan Betts after that. You're here for a few days, though, aren't you?
I'm here for half of the trip, which, you know, it's also my first time to be in this part of the country. I've never been to places like Manzhouli or Hulunbuir, but I think, you know, we should keep in mind that China is changing. A lot of things are going on, and we want to show our Western audience, that audience around the world, the real China.
That's something that always amazes me, because, you know, I've been in China 3 years now, and every day I learn something new. But so do you.
So do I.
China is so big and it's so diverse that you can never know, nobody can ever say they know China, can they?
No. Well, obviously not. And our reporter Feng-Yilei, by the way, will do another live stream this afternoon in the Russian Doll Square, where we can see the tallest Russian doll in the world. A pretty spectacular place that has also hotels and restaurants, kind of like an amusement park.
I know.
Like a Disneyland, except it's the Russian version of the Disneyland.
Yeah, when you first land in Manzhouli, it's one of the first things you see. You see endless grasslands and mountains in the background, and then Russia.
Russian doll coming out of nowhere.
A huge Russian doll, that's right. But don't forget, you can follow us on this platform for we're going to be doing regular live streams throughout the next 12 days.
You can
also go on to CGTN, go on to the TV.
Yes.
We're next going to be on air at what time?
12 o'clock. We're going to be talking about the communist history of this city, its ties with the revolutionary spirit. So,
12
looking forward to it.
Beijing time. So, at the top of the hour. At the top of the hour, Tune into CGTN on Global Watch and you can hear all about not only the fact that this is now a border town and looking at the future of this border town, but the part that it played in the revolutionary spirit that enveloped China 70 years ago this month.
Guanxi.